Namaskar and welcome to this exciting show of Sathology Debunking Mythology. Today we have a very special guest. She's a journalist par excellence. She's a commentator. She's a television media personality in India. And some of you may have seen her if you have watched Indian television, but most of you don't know her. So this is the first time we're going to introduce her to you, and you tell us what you think. The topic will be very interesting. But since it's the first show with her, we're going to stay very general. And let us, without delay, welcome Shazia Ilmi.
Thank you so much. Namaskar to everybody. Namaste. Adab. It's great to be here with you, Aditya, and with everyone out there. Thank you for making the time so early in the morning. And I believe for some of you it's really early. And of course, you are joining it from different time zones. So thank you so much.
Yeah, most welcome. You're very welcome today. So Shazia, you have been a very lively personality on TV debates, and it also shows that you have done a lot of journalism work. Can you tell us about yourself a little bit to this audience?
Sure. So, well, I was born in a big city with a small town mentality called Kanpur. It's in the northern part of India. It's the most densely populated state of North India, and to a very conservative Sunni Muslim household. I have many brothers and sisters, so it was always a struggle to find time with my parents to be heard. So I always spoke fast because I wanted to get a word edgeways. And I went to a boarding school later, and then I went to a English speaking convent, and which was really a respite for me. So my attendance was like the best ever, 100 on 100, because 100%, because I just didn't want to miss a day. It was just so boring to be at home. And I've always believed in challenging stereotypes since I was a young girl. So that's how it's been pretty much, yeah. And that was there. And because the society was so conservative, and because having been brought up in a Muslim household in a state like UP, which is rather conservative, um, we've always told that women and girls must be seen but not heard. So, you were not supposed to have opinions. You were not supposed to have aspirations and ambitions, of course. Ambition was a bad word for women, for girls. So that's how it was, pretty much. And yes, like I said, I've always challenged every stereotype since I was a young girl. I bombarded my parents with a volley of questions about why should I not take my name after my mom, and why should I be made to cook and serve tea when both my brother and I come back from school tired, and why should it be my raison d'etre, so to speak, to find a nice husband, and to all the magazines like Women and Home, and Femina, and all of that, and all the proverbs like. Boys don't make passes, that girls wear glasses, and diamonds are supposed to be a girl's best friend. So I really drove everyone up the wall, including myself and my teachers and my parents. So yes, I was quite a tough kid to handle, as you can imagine. I was a very slappable kid, if I may say so.
No, it's so great. Just to let you know the history of USA, around just 80 years back,
Yes,
women did not have right to vote here. And in
right. Of course, I have an
1924,
idea about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just 1924 is what Native Americans got the right to vote. And in this channel, we talk about all these history elements. So it's the same story everywhere,
Yes.
but in a different way. Uh, so coming
Yes.
back to your own profession, is that a reason that you chose journalism as a profession?
Um, I just felt that as I was growing up, I wanted to say so much, and I felt so helpless because the injustice of my own situation and that of others bothered me. a great deal, and I felt that I have to do something about it. So I felt that first I wasn't allowed to actually go and study further, and even get a job, so to speak. But I tried. I just fought my way through, and I said, at least let me get a job. And I worked in one of the first few television companies at that point of time, and I found that television was a good way, and communications. I did my master's in mass communication from a very well-known institution called Jamia, Mass Communication Research Center. And I went there, and I learned a lot. And I think I found the way to the means of and the vehicle of my self-expression. So it was good to be able to work in news and current affairs, which is what I chose to do. A lot of my friends went to work in Bollywood and the advertising agencies, but I realized that I have to stick to this. And I got to express myself, and I felt it's important to be the voice for the voiceless, as I was many years back. And I never let go of that vision of that young 13, 14-year-old Shazia who wanted to be heard and who wanted to do more and who wondered how what magic wand would change her life circumstances.
That also explains your background. That I found you, for viewers if you do not know, she's also a politician, and she started her
Yes,
career with Aam Aadmi Party, and now she's part of the
yes,
BJP, which is the ruling party of India. And so one astonishing thing that I found out about her was when I met her during my book launch in India. That was the first time I was launching my book there. Very approachable, unlike many other politicians other than Dr. Swami, because Dr. Swami is someone who encourages young students, like all of us.
yes, yes,
But
yes,
other than that, I found her to be very encouraging. And even Ram Madhav came on our show many
yes,
times. Very approachable person. So I think that explains your outreach, because you are very friendly and easy from the humble backgrounds that you have come. It's easy for you to relate
yes,
with common people. So that is
yes.
a very
Well, I
positive.
always, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm an accidental politician. I was never meant to be a politician. The life's journey brought me here. So it's been an uncharted path, really, for me. So
No,
I'm not your typical politician. I mean, far from it.
actually, the world has changed now. People like to prefer, don't like career politicians. And
Yes,
so
yes,
India has also
indeed.
thrown a lot of challenges to career politicians. And US also things are changing. President Donald Trump was never a career politician. He had a desire, but he entered into the race. And without being a Congress member, he became straight the president of United States. So, so coming back to our topic today, uh, which we want to discuss, you have been speaking freely about justice in the Sushant Singh murder case, and
That's
also
right.
other things in on the Indian television, and and there are a lot of fans of his, and also there are a lot of critics also of the way the justice was handled. So, how important is justice for a common man, according to
Well,
you?
it's very important. It's a bedrock of democracy, the law and order. If the law and order and the state machinery is not is not just, is not also seen as being just, and does not have mechanism whereby people can not just seek redressal of their grievances, but actually seek justice for the crimes that have been committed against them, they would tend to lose faith in democracy, and that's very dangerous. So it's very important in any democracy for the law and order machinery to remain fair and just, and committed to the principles laid down and enshrined in the Constitution. And India believes in the rule of law. That is the principle that guides our polity. That is the guiding principle in the Constitution. So if if you take away rule of law, then it becomes a banana republic. And we're looking at this world's largest democracy.
Yeah, most of the Americans, since many of them are joining, and so most of the Americans feel that America is the only country with the rule of law. But I think for Americans to hear that India is another country which is very strongly governed by the rule of law, they're very
Yes.
functional institutions like Supreme Court and other things, and there are multiple levels of grievances which can be addressed. Now, my next point to you, and you can chip in anytime. You can interrupt me anytime.
Sure.
They're not professional interviewers here. Actually, you can
No,
take
not
better
at all.
interviews than me. But
Yeah, we can change roles. I'm better at that. I've been more on the other side as
so
a news anchor.
when you talk about justice, then the truth is also another pillar on which the justice stands. And nowadays, you see that the truth sometimes is actually relative truth or manipulated truth. So what do you have to say on that? Why is this become so common, even in the US or in India? It doesn't matter which country.
No, because there is so much of cherry picking and an agenda setting that goes on about the issues you want to pick. So people choose facts according to what suits them in a given narrative, depending on which side of politics they're on. And accordingly pick up the pieces or the and sift and sieve according to their own prejudices, through and see the truth through the prism of their ideology and their personal beliefs, that they pick out facts that suit their interests, and that's when they propagate, and that's what they propagate as truth. So truth remains to be a factual thing, but people choose facts in a way to suit their own prejudices, their own ideologies, and their own principles, and their own interest groups, and to kind of um, we work in accordance with the narrative they want to believe in, and then they peddle it or bandy it around or propagate it. So it's like which side of the fence you're on. So you choose truth accordingly. So truth has become it's become like it's like cubism, what side of the cube you're looking at. And that's pretty much what truth has become now.
It's like a large
And
elephant
it's
and four blind men, and everyone is trying to
exactly,
find out who is the blind man, who is the elephant.
yes,
Now, coming
yes,
back to this social media, and social media has been a big relief also because people are able to speak, as well as
yes,
social media has also become a source for generating fake news, and it has become
of course.
gossips and other things. Somebody was telling me, I think it's a published report also, that the Facebook has been responsible for more divorces in last 5 years than anywhere else, and because everyone gets caught. So
Yes.
and that is the biggest problem of Facebook. And also, according to American Medical Association, the Facebook is a source of depression for many people.
Yeah, I
Because,
was about to say that.
so is that true there as well in India and other places?
I think so. I think so. And India is a thriving, vibrant democracy with different governments in different states, and there are many institutions, right, from the different courts at the state level and at the city level and then at the Supreme Court level. And there are regular elections, which are perhaps one of the best and most well conducted elections in the world. Um, I would say that yes, Facebook indeed, has brought about not just Facebook. I wouldn't just put it to Facebook, but yes, I think now that so much information is there, and there is so much of the aspirational levels have gone up so much that um, individuals seek to compare themselves with with everyone else. And we've had TikTok stars and celebrity news, and so the whole aspirational value has changed, you see, for middle class India. And not just that, but in this thriving democracy, if you see the digital divide is totally narrowed. So many more people have access to mobile telephones. So one of the biggest uh, flagship programs of this government, our government has been, the BJP government has been Jan Dhan Yojana, which everybody should have um, an access to the banks. So even for the rural poor who never would set foot in the premises of any bank and were outside the purview of the economy, there was a new system whereby they could get access to banks. And then there was Aadhaar card, which is very much like your identity card, identification number. And then there is mobile telephony. So we call it JAM, JAM. So because of the mobile phones, the access, the news, it just became so easy, and things go viral in a jiffy. But also the downside is that the aspirational values of an individual and what they see, that also changes. The sense of contentment um, is no longer there, and people are constantly judging themselves, evaluating themselves by other people's standards. So every time I put my picture out there, and I realize the fact that others are checking out where I've been and what I'm eating and which restaurant I'm at, or which new city or country I've been to, and and maybe most of them hating me for it, envying me for it, or and similarly for me. So it's become such a individualistic world in that sense, because we view, instead of looking at each other like members of a community, it's become about you and her and him and I. And not just that, it's also become about your aspirations, the way you value yourself, and the way you see yourself, your individual self-worth actually suffers when you compare yourself and are constantly comparing yourself by the Instagram posts that someone else is getting, and the likes others are getting and you're not. So that is very much the case. I mean, we've all seen the social dilemma now, and we all have seen, I think, the Black Mirror. So we do know where this is going. And yes, in India, pretty much that's the case, and it's scary.
Some viewers are laughing, but I can tell you that there is a likes war everywhere. So people have different types of war going on likes, that who liked what. Now
I see.
coming back to the
But I'm sure
issue of,
people are able to relate to me, right? What I'm saying.
yes, yes, yes. That's why they're
Yeah.
laughing. That there is a That's why I said the likes war is going on. People want to likes
Yeah.
and they want to compete on that. Now coming back to this justice and truth that we spoke about, and you have been speaking a lot in the public about in this famous actor's case, which was
Yes.
and which
Yes,
has
and it wasn't a political. It wasn't my party's decision to speak on it, because it's nothing. These matters have to be beyond politics. But what really bothered me was how the case was handled, and it just goes on to show that a whole lot of Indians feel very shortchanged about the about the way the post-mortem was carried out, the way the autopsy was carried out, the way the case was handled, the way the police acted and is still acting, and the way the forensics details were collected or not. And it was also relatable to many, because the actor we're talking about, Sushant, came from a simple middle class home from Bihar, a neighboring state of UP where I come from, and again where people aspire to a better life, and he actually broke the mold and got there. And then we discover this sordid world of drugs, um, and what happened to him, and the way the story has panned out ever since. So it has really left the entire nation in a state of shock. So it's not just so much Sushant and his family, but also about Bollywood, about this industry that is just like it is in the US, where Hollywood is concerned. It's pretty much the same here, because Bollywood remains the opium of the masses, and people love Bollywood. They idolize the stars, they adore them, they revere them. They're the best paid people in India. besides the cricketers. Now we have the cricketers here. You folks would have baseball and others, you know. But we have a cricket. So cricketers and the Bollywood stars get paid the most and are idolized and are revered and loved. And in the small towns you go, you would have this small barber shop, and there would be cutouts of these film stars, the superstars, the Shah Rukh Khans and the Salman Khans and Akshay Kumar. And these young boys and girls go there and they say, I want a haircut like him. And you know, every bride wants to look like either Katrina Kaif or Deepika, and wants her makeup to be like that. And so it's a whole culture, the whole Bollywood culture. It's the adhesive that connects all Indians. If there is one binding factor in a country, I can tell you it would be Bollywood.
And I
That's
think, yeah,
all states, different languages, but Bollywood remains a single unifying factor.
I think it's a Hindi film industry. It's a Hindi film industry. It's called Bollywood. Uh, in
That's
in
right.
in
People would know that, right?
uh,
How
some
many of you know about?
well, there's a poll. Yes, there's a separate chat on the on the side.
Okay,
Well,
okay. Yeah,
majority
there
of
is
people,
Bollywood moves and Bollywood dancing.
most of the people know because when they go to Zumba classes, I think that's what they play.
Yeah,
Zumba classes and other places, they know.
Zumba classes, yes.
Yes, most of the people
And they
know.
have
90%.
famous lighting the, yeah, they know the famous one of
The-
changing the bulb step, right?
Yeah,
The
changing the
Bhangra.
bus. Actually, San Diego has the largest Diwali festival every year.
I can imagine.
And there is a whole area called Balboa Park, which is completely, and it has been happening for last 45 years. And so they completely lit up the entire central area, Balboa Park, with Diwali lights. Now, coming back to our point on the truth and justice and some serious topic about the case that we had, and also you mentioned about the Mumbai police and other places.
Yes.
Now, which is it is remarkable that they, and since there, I don't want to get into the specifics of the case, but when you have such an important institution, or maybe it's not an institution like Hindi film industry, then how can police be not be impartial and do their probe properly? But if they did the probe properly, then the industry becomes more cleaner. The same thing happened in
Yes.
1960s in Hollywood. Hollywood is a city in LA, small city in
Yes,
LA.
I know. I've
And
been there. Yes.
and in Hollywood you have multiple studios and everything else, and it used to be very disorganized. Before it moved, actually the Hollywood started in New York and then they were moved to LA because the businessmen did not want the actors to be near them. They wanted it to be separate so that they can focus on money and these guys can focus on entertainment. There was no mixture. And so that's why the phrase came, don't mix pleasure with business. So that's how the origin of phrase is, and that's how it was moved away from New York to LA. They made it so far so that there is no collaboration there. But in Mumbai,
No, no. In India, we just mix business with pleasure,
looks like,
because Mumbai remains, yeah, Mumbai remains, and as it was called Bombay earlier, but now it's Mumbai, and it is the largest center of films getting produced and made, and that's Mumbai. Of course, there are other smaller industries, Telugu and Tamil, which are other languages of India, but the Hindi film industry remains locally is situated in Mumbai, and which was Bombay, called Bombay in yesteryears.
when the so in the Hollywood, that separation became in last for 6 70 80 years, and that is a, now in Hollywood also we had similar cases where, but the Hollywood survived because there was extensive cleanup done by the DEA, which is DEA is equivalent to NCB in India, and
Right.
similar problems because these when these stars are seen doing, when you are a role model, then you have to behave responsibly, because otherwise you are sending a wrong message to people. So the importance of role models following ethics is very important for people.
Sure.
So one question I have for you related to that is, when do we expect actors to speak the truth? Because they can act anytime.
Well, well, you can't generalize really, but because there are so many, because there is so much is at stake at this point of time, and people fear for their, they depend on each other. You see, the way the ecosystem works is pretty much transactional. So I scratch your back and you scratch mine. And that doesn't allow for actors to be honest because they know they would lose out on the new on their their opportunities to get newer films, better writers, and there are these monopolies that are made, and there are certain production houses and media groups, or let's say not, I wouldn't call it studios really, but which have become very really big, and some names are really big. So you tend to be aligned to one group, so to speak, or the other, less to lose out on getting more work or any new opportunities. So you have to kind of toe the line
So,
for the larger sense of belonging and your economic wherewithal. You might not agree with them, and it's not right, but there is a culture of favoritism and nepotism which works, and sycophancy. So very few actors find it difficult to speak out because they feel they're speaking against their own fraternity, and two, they fear that they might not get um, opportunities for meteor good roles because some of the some of the top guys control these groups.
no,
So I'd
absolutely.
rather not speak out because I would. And very few people have really spoken out this time. There were very few. Kangana Ranaut was very brave,
Very brave.
and she's one of the top stars of India. And she's a very honest. What I like about her is her honesty, because she talked about how, as a youngster, when she was a minor, how she was made to consume, and she said she would not feel that she belongs, and she was made to believe that she had to be part of the crowd, part of the in crowd, and to be hip and to belong, unless she consumed drugs, and she was part of the whole woke trail.
Now that's how
So,
they get.
and
That's how they catch
yeah,
you. Like the San Diego is one of the top 10 cities in human trafficking in the US. Number nine actually. And that's how they do it, because they first make you that you're not cool.
yeah,
You have to stand out from the crowd, and
exactly.
you have to the I
And there
work
is
very,
peer pressure.
yeah, I work very
Yeah.
closely with the sheriff here and our district attorneys, and then I help them many times in just for a community side point of view. Now coming
Yes.
back to our pathology, now with this in this channel we generally speak about presenting the right history and documenting the right history also. Now, so in your case, especially in Mumbai, where the truth has been hidden, and you have been a big fighter of truth. I was seeing your entire journalist record. You've taken out many stories, and then you were also part of the film industry at one point. So
Yes.
you have that experience now, and now you're in BJP. Now BJP has two people from the film industry, you and Smriti Irani.
Well, I haven't been really in the films industry. I've been more in the news industry, but yes, it has been based out of Bollywood. I mean,
Bollywood,
out of Mumbai.
Mumbai, yeah. And you
Yeah,
have
yeah. So
Smriti also from the same.
I've done, I've yeah, so, and I've interviewed the film stars, and I've reported from Mumbai extensively.
Yeah. And in your so when you talk about, many of the journalists are also listening or wanna be journalists, and
Yes,
they want to cover India, some of them. So when these people uh, they want to choose journalism as a profession or
yes,
as a career, and with all the options available nowadays with the social media, starting your own
yes,
blog, and just putting out pictures out, getting registered. What do you advise them as a professional?
My advice would be to always believe in yourself, and because there is no replacement for integrity. There are many shortcuts, but be honest to yourself, and that goes a long way. A lot of people feel that in order to in order to play to the gallery, so to speak, or to impress your boss or a senior, or to impress a bunch of people who are reading your stuff is what matters. But I think just your individual talent, and your perseverance, and your original take is very important. You What is the originality you bring to the story that you do? And that's really important for a journalist. It makes you stand out. It could be a small story, but it can make such a waves if you do it with all honesty, with integrity, and with originality. So this is always fashionable. Originality is always fashionable. Integrity is always cool. It's always cool. And I
So,
always say it's hip to be square.
so
So well, you don't have to be square. But all I'm saying is that believe in yourself. It's not about what is trending now. Some things have to be against the trend. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, is it also hip to be a politician today?
No, I'm afraid not. No, it's not at all hip. It's a for somebody like me, it's really like sometimes becomes difficult, like a cross-eye bear, because people kind of listen to the word, oh, politician, and they kind of judge you without realizing that you've been a journalist and a news anchor, and you got into politics because you believe in real transformation, because I actually believe that politics must change from inside out. You know what I mean? Instead of just doing the same old stuff. So but people around you seem to judge and look at politics a certain way. So this whole thing about being a crooked politician is here to stay, at least in India. I don't know. Well, I do know what goes on in the US.
It's the same
The less
story
said, the
here.
better. Yeah, I know. Which is why I'm not saying much. But yeah, so it's like that, And what bothers me now, and this is another advice I would like to give to anybody who wants to be a journalist or pursue a career in any of the media, in any of the platforms, is not just being original and having integrity matters, but we tend to align ourselves into either or the binaries. It's like either you with us or you with them. Remember that Bushism, which I particularly dislike, because there are so many different ways to be. It's not this or that, and there is so many grays between black and white. So I really think that people must find truth for themselves. You don't have to be, and everybody's made the position so clear, the center and left of center and right of center and extreme left and extreme right. And, I tell people, you can just make your own place. You don't have to subscribe to any of these 5, 6, 7 positions. Have a new take. Be center of left today, be center of right tomorrow. Surprise yourself. Don't be guided by some ideologues. Use your own brains. You don't have to hate somebody all the time. You don't have to love someone else because you hate someone else all the time. You see every case by its merits and demerits.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm an avowed BJP supporter. I'm an avowed Modi hater. I'm an avowed Republican. I am an avowed Democrat. We've just taken these positions. And people say, oh, my entire family believes in this. Or to be liberal means just one thing. But I think it's not very smart,
No, very
because you've
true.
just tied yourself in knots
Exactly.
and you've just hitched yourself with a wagon. and your wagon follows the engine wherever it goes. So what about your own brains? What about your own understanding? What about your own sense of individual pursuit of truth? Where is it? You could find something good about a party, and you could find something else good, or about the other party, or something absolutely against your interest in the party you like, or you just decided to just hate somebody. And you know what Mahatma Gandhi said? You hate the sin, but not the sinner. So, like you hate the quality, but you don't have to hate people or idolize some and make them gods, and the other way around. So I find that not too smart, you know. And one thing I liked about BJP, my party, is that it's when I joined in after a very bad experience with Aam Aadmi Party, which is why all the original people of Aam Aadmi Party have left, because I was there since Anna Hazare movement. So my experience was was about my party was, it said country first, party next, individual last. So I like that. I mean, your party or your political beliefs don't have to be right at the top, and even yourself. There have to be other things. I mean, for some it can be country, for some it can be basic ethics. So it's what you choose, but you're just not a political being, and you don't have to be an avowed leftist at all times in your life, or an avowed right-winged person at all times. You know what I mean? It's just a very fixed and too certain a position. And I feel even as a youngster, I was so taken in by this, and that I've refused to see the point of view of the other side. And sometimes it's good to listen to both sides, and the third side, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, and the seventh, and see and see what works for you. And maybe you might not want to take sides. Maybe you might have a different point of view. I mean, why sit in a box all the time and box yourself in? So it's either this box or the other, but you are boxed in. It's good to sometimes get out of the box and explore the spaces between the boxes, or to create your own new box which doesn't even look like a box. You
Very well
can be a
said.
part of an amoeba like box which is ever evolving.
Yeah. Frog in a well. Frog in a well
Yeah,
thinks
so
that
it's
it's
don't get stuck, and I think people have to get unstuck, and people are too stuck in this talk of ideology and political beliefs, so much so that they've limited themselves.
it's a great message to all the Americans, because we are right in the middle of the
Yeah,
election season. And
I know that. I know that. I visit the US all the time, and I have tons of friends in America and in all parts of the country. And this is what I hear, and in India too is the same thing. And to me, it's like really boring. I mean, it doesn't say much about you, because all the time you either you follow one side or the other. And I wish people read more, checked more, acted more, than just promote someone else's message as their own, someone else's belief as their own gospel truth. So I think it's very easy, to just follow one side of the story. It's the easiest thing to do. All my colleagues are doing that. Everybody in the class is going believes in this. That's really the cool. Everybody's tweeting this. Everybody's liking this. This video is going viral. I also like. I'm scared to say, hey, there's something about it that I don't like, or I don't have to necessarily like it and love it. Maybe I need to see the other side too. What is the issue here? And it's good to question that instead of always going with the tide, because we don't want to look bad. We want to look cool. We want to belong to the crowd. We want to play to the galleries. Hey, people will make fun of me if I say I don't believe in that one message. I'd become uncool. They'll accuse me of being less liberal. or I will not belong. That is the originality I'm talking about. That is the integrity I'm talking about. So, you, and as journalists anyway, we should not be taking sides. But all of journalism has become about that. All of television today, and especially the American networks, are about this party or the other. And we know that. And in India too. But I think the job of the fourth estate is just forgotten, which is to check every government, find loopholes in the policy, and find out the truth instead of taking sides yourself and trumpeting your own views because you believe in that party and getting votes for that party through your broadcast.
No, great point you made, Shazia. And I think we're running on the top of the hour now. And my
Yes,
last point you is that people, good politicians like yourself are needed because and also good journalists are needed. Both are equally important for the country.
yes,
If the good politician doesn't come to the front, a demagogue will definitely come. So it's like a
yes,
position of power, and in USA also there's a huge polarization because of exactly what you spoke about, and people are not independently verifying because sometimes when the country is safe, people are automatically safe. Just like your party did so many good steps they have taken, which have virtually helped a class man on the street, giving them a
yes.
financial strength.
And the last woman.
And the last woman, yes, I cannot, yes, obviously it's included there. And so help them, last person on the street. And also many innovative things have taken place where US and India today are one of the best allies, even better than NATO allies, where Americans, one thing about US is there is a natural love for India, just natural.
Yes,
No American I have ever seen criticizing India for any reason. And the biggest
yes,
attractions for Americans is places like Rishikesh,
that's right.
Varanasi. Like you'll find if you go to Rishikesh, there are more Americans you'll find there in many American cities also. It's just
Yes,
crowded. And Kashi. So I think that cultural popularity of India and Americans, there are 45 to 48 million Americans follow yoga today. And it has increased tremendously after the Prime Minister Modi's International Yoga Day. And
yes,
so 48 million Americans have heard about India, or maybe 20% of them have visited India, but it has been the
yes.
biggest cultural export of India in on one way or the other. So I thank your party and yourself for that, and also you as an individual who is acting as a bridge. So if thank you for the time today. I think we're on the top of the hour now. And
Yes.
for viewers, if you want to have any questions for her, you can send it out on the YouTube video that will be out shortly, or you can also email me. I'll put you in touch with her directly. Some of you may be interested in learning more about her on journalism side, but in some of the next topics, we're going to cover that. We're going to invite her again to speak to all of us. So thank you, Shazia, a lot for your time. I know you have
Thank
a
you so
busy
much.
day, busy evening, rather on the television channels. And for the viewers, thank you for watching so early in the morning on the West Coast, and on the East Coast for all the hosts who made this program possible for all the students. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you, all of you. Have a great day ahead of you. Bye bye.